So I'm here with Daniel McDonnell from the Irish Independent and regular contributor to News Talk. Daniel, Italy beating Bulgaria, it's a better result for us than Bulgaria beating Italy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a sense, maybe a little bit of anticlimax about the Italy game, that we don't have the opportunity to overtake them with the win. But again, you have to be realistic and look at it and go, well, at least now second place is secured, and you can probably use the Italian game. It's still going to be a huge occasion, but it can be maybe build up some momentum towards the playoffs. I think that's got to be the priority. Yeah, we would have loved if Italy had come here, with the opportunity to overtake them being there. Now they'll probably come and just be happy enough to shut up shop. A point will do it for them. So yeah, it's not ideal. We all would have loved the chance to overtake them, but we just have to kind of focus on the playoff now, I think.
Italy the other night, this new goal scorer they have from Milan, he scored 2 first international goals for Italy. What do you know about him?
Loads. Obviously, I mean, the thing about the Italians is that people are saying the trap has been quite lucky in this campaign, but I think that's the allegation that's been labelled at Lippi as well. And I mean, you've seen them in certain games in this group. In Cyprus, they were very fortunate. In Georgia, where they probably could have gone out of that game until Kaladze popped up with a brace. But I think it's a huge game. I think ultimately at the start of the group we wanted to be competitive ourselves when the Italy game came around, and there's going to be a huge sense of anticipation about it. They have been fortunate in this campaign to Italy. They're not the force that won the World Cup. I think they've acknowledged that, and we saw maybe in Barry in April that they are slightly brittle when you apply a certain amount of pressure. So hopefully we can actually create a genuine atmosphere at Croke Park, which maybe hasn't been the case so far, and we could have a special night there.
You reckon we're just going to go at them? So,
well, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think that's trap style, and a lot of people just seem to think that maybe GAA style we should just tear into them and lose the run of ourselves completely. And that hasn't been the way. It's probably going to be 2 Italian style teams kind of patiently taking each other on. I think that's the way it's going to be. It's not going to be a rip-roaring festival of football, but I think there's a certain brittleness in Italy that even in their last campaign Scotland came very close to eliminating them. And there was a game in Hampden Park, I think in November. I think that night we were in Wales playing the most meaningless competitive game of all time, and Scotland really rattled Italy in that game, and only in the last 15 minutes Italy turned it around to qualify. And when you look at that group of Scottish players and our group of players, I mean, you'd argue our squad is possibly better. So there's no real fear. There should be no real fear about the Italian game, and in fairness, I don't think the manager and the players really have that.
You mentioned the GAA style and the brittleness of the Italians, but the one thing we don't have GAA style wise is a lot of disciplinary problems. There's been very few yellow cards, whereas Italy have had this problem with picking up loads of yellow cards.
Yeah, everyone else in the group has had this problem, and it's something that has been noticeable. That I think we only have 6 yellow cards so far, and also significantly the only defender I think to have a yellow card is Paul McShane, whereas none of the other members of the back four, the regular back four, have picked up a booking, which is incredible really when you consider recent campaigns. So yeah, Italy have had a lot of suspension issues during this campaign, as have all the other nations, but something we've avoided. And again, it's banging the same drum, but when we have a small pool of players, we really can't afford to lose 1 or 2. When you hear a little bit of worry about John O'Shea or even Sean St Ledger before the Cyprus game, you kind of realise how thin the resources are, that the loss of one player can suddenly unsettle the whole ship, whereas other maybe nations can afford a bit more changes. But certainly in that respect it's something that's improved considerably.
Well, looking back to the Cyprus match, it was an excellent result, but not quite the best performance, was it?
No, I think, and in fairness, the manager has been quite honest about that as well, to say that they were probably slightly fortunate in terms of the away performances in this group, which have been quite good. That was definitely the worst of them. But I suppose the glass kind of half full view would be that it was another, I suppose, indication that this team have improved significantly in the area of their mental strength. And I think there's 3 games this year: the Georgia in February, in Italy in Bari, and this game here where we've scored goals in the last 10-15 minutes of games and turning maybe negative results into positive ones. And when you consider in the last campaign, Slovakia in the 98th minute conceding a late goal and other problems we had in that department, then you would have to look at it and go, okay, it wasn't pretty, but it was effective when you look at the result.
Is that more a question of the quality of the character of the team rather than fitness that we're scoring late on?
Yeah, I suppose fitness, would be one aspect of looking at it, but you wouldn't have imagined that would have been an issue against Italy and Barry. Maybe the Italy team is ageing and they used the subs well on that occasion, but I think maybe it is just a certain amount of character. I think the players have made the point that maybe the manager, maybe a half-time in games wouldn't be a ranter and raver, and maybe at half-time in Cyprus on Saturday things weren't looking good. And other managers might have come in and maybe tried to radically change things, or started bollocking players, or maybe lost the run of themselves, like you get the impression happened 3 years ago when it was level going in half time in Cyprus and the attitude wasn't right in the second half. But I think here, again, it wasn't pretty at all, but ultimately I think there's a certain level of calm there, which is producing results again, while everyone seems to have quibbles about the application and the way it's been achieved.
Thanks very much, Daniel.